The quarantine designation was issued 46 minutes after the Harmony cleared the Epsilon Eridani exclusion zone. It arrived as a priority directive across every human communication network simultaneously, stripped of ceremony and attribution, its language clinical and absolute. No Kytherian vessels crossed the boundary, no further transmissions were received. The collective had reached consensus. Humanity was to be observed, contained, and left undisturbed until such time as its cognitive pathology could be reassessed. From Earth's perspective, the silence was worse than hostility. The Harmony returned to Lunar Station 3 days later, escorted by a rotating security cordon whose presence was officially described as precautionary, but whose weapons systems remained fully powered throughout the docking sequence. The crew disembarked in silence, each member processed individually through medical and psychological screening protocols that had been rewritten mid-transit. Lieutenant Rodriguez was not listed among the returning personnel. His designation had already been reclassified. Ambassador Chen submitted her preliminary report within 6 hours of arrival. It was concise, factual, and almost entirely devoid of speculation. She described the Kytherians' failure to comprehend distributed authority, their misinterpretation of individual autonomy as cognitive fragmentation, and the escalation sequence that led to the attempted integration. She did not attempt to justify the decision to allow Rodriguez to volunteer. She merely documented it. The report was immediately sealed. Over the following weeks, fragments of the incident leaked despite unprecedented information controls. The existence of a volunteer, the duration of the transformation, the word integration. Each revelation ignited cycles of outrage, denial, and reinterpretation across Earth's political and cultural systems. Competing narratives emerged almost instantly. Some framed Rodriguez as a martyr who had sacrificed himself to prevent annihilation. Others labeled the decision an unforgivable breach of ethical protocol. A minority argued that the Kytherians' assessment had been correct, that humanity's insistence on individual sovereignty was an evolutionary dead end. The United Nations convened an emergency assembly that lasted 17 days. No consensus was reached. Xenopsychologists tasked with modeling Kytherian cognition began to identify an uncomfortable asymmetry. While the collective lacked a conceptual framework for individual consent, it demonstrated extraordinary internal coherence. Its decisions were consistent, its ethical assumptions stable, its responses proportional to its own values. Humanity, by contrast, presented as a fractured system attempting to project unity without possessing it. Where the Kytherians perceived pathology, they were responding to genuine unpredictability. This conclusion was not made public. In private sessions, analysts raised a more troubling possibility that the quarantine was not punitive, but protective. That the collective had classified humanity not as a threat to itself, but as a destabilizing influence to others. A civilization capable of producing singular acts of moral courage alongside systemic indecision. A species whose internal disagreements could not be reliably bounded. The implications unsettled even the most hardened observers. Chen was recalled to testify before the Oversight Council twice. In both sessions, she was asked the same question in slightly altered forms whether, given another opportunity, she would authorize a volunteer again. Chen did not answer immediately. When she did, her response was carefully measured. She stated that the question itself assumed a clarity of values humanity had not yet demonstrated. During the 3rd month of quarantine, an anomaly was detected at the outer edge of the exclusion zone. A Kytherian relay construct, inert, unpowered, and deliberately positioned just beyond the boundary. Its presence suggested observation rather than engagement. Humanity's scientific community debated whether it represented a test, an invitation, or a warning. No attempt was made to approach it. Lieutenant Rodriguez's final status was updated in a classified annex appended to the report. His neural patterns, briefly visible during the integration event, showed no signs of distress or resistance. Whatever had replaced him appeared stable, coherent, and fully aligned with the collective's objectives. Whether this constituted survival was left undefined. The annex concluded with a recommendation. Until humanity could articulate a unified framework for consent that extended beyond abstraction, until it could demonstrate not merely the belief in individual sovereignty, but the capacity to act upon it collectively, no further contact should be pursued. The quarantine remained in effect. Chen resigned her post 2 weeks later. The relay construct continued to watch.